people are just as happy as they make up their minds to be, says Abraham Lincoln. Welcome, my precious audience, to the 𝗣𝗢𝗪𝗘𝗥 podcast with your host, Dr. 𝗣𝗢𝗪𝗘𝗥, the space where speaking everything holistic health and healing. This is season 2, where we're dealing clean out. We said that this year we are managing our minds, our bodies, and our spaces with cleaning them out for the better and healthier version of us. So today we are talking the power of resolve. That is mind and emotions. I'll start at story time. The power of the mind. That is the story for today. I met a lovely and amazing lady that had lived quite a number of her years, but most of them she had been hypertensive. That means her blood pressures were high in most of her life and she needed medication to keep them low. So during this time, medication that she was on had to be upped up to get to the highest level of medication, which is centrally acting. That means it acts on the brain to manage the blood pressures, to manage the systems of the brain so as to lower the blood pressures in the body. That's how high she was on her medications. So because of the long history of hypertension, her organs started to complain. And this one time, she had bad organ complications that caused her to go into emergency and eventually into ICU, that is intensive care unit. My listeners, this is not in any way to scare that hypertension will lead you to ICU. I do not want any unnecessary anxiety or anxiousness or anything to do with any of the conditions that you have. This is strictly for purposes of illustration. So while my lady was heavily sedated in the ICU, the doctors realized that there was actually no need for her to be on the high doses of the antihypertensives that were brain acting. So she was not on any meds. So through the processes, the doctors managed to lower her blood pressure, managed to keep her body repairing, and her organs responded. So it was time to wake her up. Her family is there waiting, they're excited, they've been gathered, some of them are anxious, they're waiting for the lovely lady to come back to them. So while she woke up and showed signs of waking up, there's a bit of agitation and coughing and pulling strings out. Guess what happened? The doctors noticed that her blood pressure started to shoot up again. So while they shot up, the doctors had to start her medications one by one. Guess what happened? They finally got her on a regimen that will keep her blood pressures up, and it was still a strong regimen. But the doctors had a plan. They knew that they were going to start with her mind for ICU rehabilitation. So they knew exactly where to start on dealing with her healing process after ICU. Therein lies our story for today. Our lesson. The mind holds the first power to heal your body. Therefore, a healthy body requires a healthy mind. So what steps are you and I going to take to enable us have mind management, to enable us have the power of resolve this week and beyond? Step 1, exercise. I will speak for exercise every time I speak. I know that exercise improves circulation throughout your whole body and especially to your brain. So for you to have the power of resolve, the exercise enables the great circulation to happen in your brain, so your brain is more alert, there is improved awareness, and there's ability for you to create resolve. See the pattern? Therefore, you manage to make up your mind on decisions that you have set to make out. Step 2, find a hobby. Finding a hobby is something so sustainable. It's something that will sustain you out of whatever situations that you're going on in your life, especially the ones that compromise your health. So what happens is that a hobby enables you to release all the good hormones. It reduces the stress hormones because your body usually, or always, not actually just usually, it prioritizes cortisol. Cortisol is the greatest and number one stress hormone in your body. So when your body is in fight or flight or stress mode, it releases a lot of cortisol. And for women, this is greatly associated with the conditions that we keep talking about. Talk about infertility, fibroids, hormonal imbalances, any of the conditions or most of them urinary tract infections that affect our well-being as women, even diabetes, systemic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, All those, most of them, have a level of stress hormones that are opposing your naturally occurring hormones. So when I'm talking hobby, I'm not talking about things that you've done when you were a child. You can learn a new hobby. You can learn to walk. You can learn to take strolls, to dance, to paint. I was reading most recently that one of the best ways to use your hands to relieve stress, manage anxiety, and get your mind to work is by coloring. Buy a colored book. Share a coloring book with your daughter or your son that is in elementary school or kindergarten. Learn how to sew. Pilates classes, yoga. Learn a new language, French or German or Luganda or Kiswahili, whichever one, will enable you to release good hormones and will give your mind something to work on. And guess what? When you find one, decide and commit to it. Stick to it. Make manageable and realistic plans for you to achieve those. And while you're doing that, listen to a podcast. Listen to something motivating. I know music is good, but use that time to grow you a bit more. Unless, of course, you're using music to teach you how to teach music or to sing or something that will build you. And when you are done with this hobby routine, you are going to get your pen and paper and write. That is the best state in which your mind is, to write it down. And before you know it, that journal story, the journey of your story, can become a source of motivation and income for you and others. So let's go. Step 3, we're going to choose and decide for a healthy mind. We are going to make that decision by doing something about it. So we won't just talk about it, we'll do something about it. And guess what? It starts as a habit. I'll give an illustration. You know how we brush our teeth every day? That is a habit that you were taught by either your father, your mother, or your elder siblings. But it's a habit that you have learned to do every day. Do you sometimes walk out of the house and feel like, no, I don't want to brush my teeth? I hope that's none of my audience here, because then you inconvenience yourself and your neighbors. So that's not where we're going. So you learned how to brush your teeth, and now you do it in auto mode. That's what I'm talking about. Decide what you're going to do and choose it as a daily mind health, just to tick off a box. When you tick it for a week, it becomes a pattern. When you tick it for 21 days, it becomes a habit. And when you do it for 90 days, voila, we have a lifestyle. So choose to make it happen. Listen to this. Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it to happen. Others make it happen, says Michael Jordan. Let's be the ones that make it happen. My question for you today, ladies, and this week: what is in your world that is stealing your peace, and you need to help your mind to resolve on it once and for all? Can we start today? I'll give you an example. For me, it is procrastination and forgetfulness. Oh my goodness. I could speak about how many times I've forgotten to do important things and I blame it on mommy brains. Guess what? I have a phone, I have a journal, I have a calendar, I have reminders, I have alarms that can help me curb this habit. I resolve to put those reminders and get work done. And while I do that, I am not at 100, but definitely not at 0 or less than 30. So we can do it, and we can do it together. Time for affirmation. Today is my new day, my new page for greater opportunities coming my way starting today. Therefore, I decide to not let yesterday ruin the great opportunity I have for today to build tomorrow. I resolve to do the work that I need to do today to guarantee a happier tomorrow. That sounds like a tongue twister, doesn't it? Now remember, people are just as happy as they make up their minds to be, said Abraham Lincoln. This is us at the Hope Ignites Healing Podcast, here to cheer you on and seeing the newest version of a healthy you. That is holistically healthy, with your host, Dr. Lilian Kalisa, here to cheer you on, here to encourage you, and here to walk with you through this journey. Let's do it together. Let's cuddle, let's love, and let's be deliberate. I'll see you again next week in this space. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.